Yes, the 49ers have some concerns at the wide receiver position. And we'll kind of go through what they could be thinking, what they should be thinking. Because when you look at what probably the team's top six receivers, five of them have injury concerns or other concerns to make their availability week one a little bit in question. Brandon Ayuk out with a knee injury. He will, or as he returns from ACL surgery, more than likely starting the season on the PUP list. So he won't be available until week 6 or later. Juwan Jennings has the calf/contract situation. One of the things that's interesting with him is that if he is out with a calf injury that's been bothering him now for more than 2 weeks, was an issue in the offseason, has been an issue in the past, it kind of, to me, tells the 49ers, why would you make a long-term commitment to him financially? He's seeking a new contract, but are you going to sign a wide receiver who has this calf issue? So, it's kind of this double way to look at it. Yes, he could be sidelined with a calf injury, or he could be using the calf injury as an excuse not to practice, be a hold in. But if you're the 49ers, are you going to make a large financial commitment for this year and the future if this guy has a calf injury? The other, receivers, Demarcus Robinson has the looming suspension. That's going through the appeals process now, and we could hear something soon on that. Jacob Cowing has the hamstring that's kept him out for several weeks, a couple weeks, and he's expected back at practice here on Tuesday. And then Jordan Watkins with the high ankle sprain. He's going to be out a month, putting him on pace right around the start of the regular season. But if he hasn't practiced up to this point, from now to the regular season, is he going to be capable of doing anything for the 49ers early in the season? Probably not. So the one guy of the top six where there are no injury issues right now is Ricky Pearsall. And he's the guy who reported to training camp on the PUP list. So right now, the healthy wide receivers, the guys who, if the season were to start tomorrow, who would be out there? Ricky Pearsall, Russell Gage Jr., Robbie Chosen, Junior Bergen, Tariq Owens, and Isaiah Hodgins. So what do the 49ers do? And the one guy where I think it makes sense to keep an eye on this, there's two people, two names I'm going to mention in particular, Amari Cooper and Kendrick Bourne. And what's kind of interesting about those two names is this. Last year, when I was doing my reporting on the Brandon Ayuk situation, he had requested a trade. 49ers had that offer out to him. He hadn't accepted it. And the 49ers were now working on trade scenarios. The two names that I kept hearing was, the Browns and the Patriots. And those were two spots that Brandon Ayuk, as it turned out, didn't want to go to. But both of those spots would have given him more money than what the 49ers were, ended up giving him. But if those trades had gone through, the 49ers would have gotten a player from each team back in return. From the Browns, they would have gotten Amari Cooper. And from the Patriots, and by the way, the Browns, when I reported that, the Browns denied that Amari Cooper was out there trade. They weren't going to trade him. And then several weeks later, they traded him. The thing with Amari Cooper is, he's been now in that $20 million range, $20 million a year range. I don't think he will get that whenever he signs with the team. I don't think he'll get close to that, but still looking at a sizable contract. The other player from the Patriots, and this is one to keep an eye on, and it's somebody who obviously knows the 49er system very well. He could step right in and probably more in line for what the 49ers are looking for. That's Kendrick Bourne. And, he's coming off the ACL injury, but that part is healthy. He's currently out for a couple weeks with a foot injury. So That doesn't necessarily help the 49ers now, but could help them early in the season, assuming his recovery is just fine. So Kendrick Bourne is the one to keep an eye on, just because they wouldn't have to pay him a lot of money. And that's something that Kyle Shanahan talked about on Monday, was that what the 49ers want to do, what they could do, is very much not about stripping away or hurting them the rest of this season and next year with the kind of contract they give them. Whoever a player that they would look at would be. But Kendrick Bourne is a guy that, and even maybe a little bit too rich for the 49ers right now as far as what his contract is with the Patriots. But I've been hearing, the 49ers, could be interested in Kendrick Bourne, depending on how things go, how the season goes. And maybe it was like, kind of keep an eye on that for, the trading deadline during the season. But now I think that there is a distinct possibility that the 49ers could look at Kendrick Bourne. Not saying that they're going to end up with him. I think the Washington Commanders, with Adam Peters as general manager, or a team that could look at Kendrick Bourne as well. But what also kind of struck me was that my colleague at NBC Sports Boston, Phil Perry, did his 53-man projection for the Patriots, much as I did my 53-man projection for the 49ers. But Phil Perry had the Patriots keeping 7 wide receivers, and not one of them was named Kendrick Bourne. So it was Stephon Diggs, Demario Douglas, Keyshawn Butte, Kyle Williams, Matt Collins, Javon Baker, and Efton Chisholm, a undrafted rookie from Eastern Washington. So that means they don't have Kendrick Bourne listed. And the Patriots can save a lot of money on the cap, nearly $5 million, or more than that, $6 million, if they release Kendrick Bourne before the start of the season. So he's currently on the books to make $5.5 million, with another $850,000 available in per game roster bonuses. So whatever 850,000 divided by 17, that's how much he would make for every game that he's active. So yeah, the Patriots would save $6.3 million if they were to release him or trade him before the start of the season. So would the 49ers trade for Kendrick Bourne? I don't know the 49ers would pay Bourne that kind of money. I don't think so. I know how the 49ers operate. I think, basically earmarking $6.35 million, or yes, I think that's right. $6.35 million would be not in the range that they want when they expect Ayuk back, when they expect Jennings back, when they expect Robinson back, and they expect Watkins back. So I don't think that they would go there. But at the right price, Kendrick Bourne, to me, is the player to keep an eye on, because he could step in, he could hit the ground running, he knows the system. Wouldn't take him long to get back up to speed with the 49ers system. And then, they wouldn't be paying him so much that they need him to start. They need him to be their number one receiver. They don't need a whole lot out of him other than just to keep the bus rolling here during a time when they have so much uncertainty at the wide receiver position. So there's 2 scenarios. Either the 49ers could work out a trade with the Patriots like they did with the Eagles for Bryce Huff, and say, Patriots will give you a late round pick in 2026 if you take on half the salary, whatever, X number of dollars of Kendrick Bourne's salary for this coming season. So that way the 49ers don't have to pay the full freight of that salary, something that I think they'd be reluctant to do. Or they look at it and go, hey, the Patriots they're going to waive, or they're going to release Kendrick Bourne. And now at the start of the season, it'll be 10 days before the start of the regular season. 49ers can then say, okay, he's a free agent, basically, a veteran, with a vested veteran who can sign his own contract, not subject to the waiver wire. 49ers can go to Kendrick Bourne and say, we want you back, but we want you back at whatever that number is, the number that they're comfortable with. We want you back at $2 million, maybe some incentives. And we need you ready for week 1, September 7th against Seattle, before all these people come back to the organization or back and playing. So, the other parts of this, like I said, the 49ers do expect Brandon Ayuk back this year. They're gonna take it slow with him. More than likely, he'll start the season on the PUP list, which means he's out for 4 games. And if he's out for 4 games, he's out for 5 games, because 49ers have that Thursday game, week 5 against the Rams, with 0 practice. So he's not going to play in that game. So then you start looking at week 6. With Robinson, probably looking at a 3-game suspension, maybe even more than that. The fact that his side is appealing what the NFL put out there as far as what they presented to him. And according to Kyle Shanahan, the appeals process is ongoing. So you're looking at at least 3 games for Robinson, I would think, maybe 4. So we'll see where that happens. And then, when is Watkins going to be ready to contribute? As good as he looked on that pass play against the Broncos, the 50-yarder, going up against the Broncos' number 1 defense, he also messed up some plays, running the wrong route and contributing to an interception, or being responsible for an interception. And then Cowing's coming back from the hamstring, but he didn't do anything last year as a rookie. Jennings with the calf/contract. Ricky Pearsall, quite clearly the number 1 wide receiver, but also let's not get this confused. George Kittle's the number 1 pass catcher on the team. So the 49ers do have a lot of issues at the wide receiver position. It opens the door for Russell Gage, or Robbie Chosen, or Tariq Owens, or Isaiah Hodgins, or Junior Bergen. So, and Kyle Shanahan said that too. Like, there's more competition at the wide receiver position than there has been in a long, long time with the 49ers. And it wouldn't surprise me if the 49ers go out and get somebody. It wouldn't surprise me if the number 1 guy on their list is Kendrick Bourne, just because of the possible availability and maybe the price of doing business, what it would cost to get him. So we shall see. But I don't expect them to go out and pay $10 million or $8 million or maybe even $5 million. I don't expect them to go out and get somebody like that because of where they are on the salary cap. They're fine for this year, but with the rising costs of all the big name players that they have, they're watching how they're spending now, because it does have an impact on the future. So every dollar that they're under the cap this year rolls over to next year. And so I just don't see them going out and paying big money for basically a rent a player. So that's where the 49ers are. Yes, they have questions at wide receiver, and the problems at wide receiver became even more evident on Monday with the news that Jordan Watkins is out for a month with a high ankle sprain. So that's where the 49ers are as they head into this week. They have a practice on Tuesday, day off Wednesday as they travel to Las Vegas, practice against the Raiders on Thursday, and then the preseason game on Saturday. So that is a wrap of what the 49ers wide receiver position is looking like. Another name that I threw out there yesterday, Gabriel Davis, probably not, probably put him in the same boat as Amari Cooper, probably less expensive than Amari Cooper, but that's how I see how I envision the 49ers looking at their wide receiver position. Their first priority is just to ride this thing out and stand pat. But if they feel like they need extra guys to begin the season, then to me, Kendrick Bourne is probably the most likely, most logical, most reasonable solution to help them get through a time when their wide receiving core looks really, really thin.